Welcome. We are here for Ashley's Heart Song. This is the place where we get out of the stress and back into our body, our life, and our business. When we tap into the song of our heart, that is when we master the mind and the stress that can steal our life. Welcome to today's show. I am so happy that you are here, that you found us, that you found me. This is going to be a very fun topic today. I have found that the topic that I'm speaking about today has been entering into my life quite frequently, and you may be feeling the same thing. This episode is called The Cry for Mercy, the Unexpected Victory. And the way I'd like to start today's show is a little different than normal. What I'd love to do is just to jump right into a quote by Brene Brown. And that quote says, it's so beautiful. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. When we speak to the cry for mercy, that is when we can be our most vulnerable. It is when we're our most vulnerable. If you will remember when we were children, you may not have played this, but me and my sisters did, and me and my friends did. You would clasp hands with your friend, and you would turn your hands upside down and bend backwards and see who cried for mercy first. Well, typically in this game, the one who cried mercy was the loser. But today, I want to invite you to think of this in a different way, from a different perspective. We're going to take the hawkeye view, so to speak, on this little childhood game. And really, who is the victor in this? What if the victor is the one who cried for mercy? What if the victor is the one who was at its weakest moment, weakest point? Have you ever felt that way in your life where you thought, okay, check mark, I am done? I've hit that moment many times in my life where I have looked up at the heavens and I've said, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do it again. I can't do it anymore. And I've just stopped. Do you realize that that is when you are your most courageous? Because you just went belly up. It's like a dog that shows its owner its tummy. All of the legs are extended out and just is on the back and wanting you to rub the belly. Most vulnerable position for an animal. And when they do this, they are their most willing and showing how much they trust and accept and love you. So when we're at this place where we are crying for mercy, what if that was really when were our most victorious? Those moments when I have cried for mercy, I have just been through the stress chemistry ringer. I have been trying to do it myself. Maybe I let myself think that I wasn't going at it alone. Maybe I was thinking, I'm praying every day, I'm armoring up, I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do. And yet I'm still suffering. I'm still at that point where my head is running the show, trying to make things happen, trying to make things work, pushing hard, being relentless, but relentless not in the way that sets your soul on fire, but relentless in trying to make it work, trying to be successful, trying to win, trying to finally succeed. And when we're in that gripping place of it, our ego mind is running the show. And that is when we have this stress chemistry bombarding our body. And when stress chemistry bombards our body, cortisol is one of those famous hormones that's being leached off, and it's being leached off and covering your brain. And do you know what's happening then? What's happening in that moment is you are losing the ability to problem solve. You're losing the ability to remember the things you need to remember in order to put things into action in a way that is most advantageous for you. Yes, there are moments in our life where stress chemistry is really important. But when it comes to really problem solving, when it comes to the success in any area of your life, whether it's your relationships, your business, your vocation, your where you serve in your life, friendships, romance, relationships, relationship with yourself. If we're in a stress chemistry while we're working with each one of those, then we're not going to get anywhere. And you are going to get to a point, maybe, if you're smart, you're going to get to a point where you're going to cry for mercy. And when we cry for mercy, that is when the most beautiful thing can happen. When we cry for mercy, we spoke about that vulnerability of opening up and how courageous that is. How courageous of an animal it is to be so vulnerable to its owner that way. And when we do that as people, and if you believe in a higher God, a higher power, and you open yourself up to that and are vulnerable to that, saying, I'm done. I cry for mercy. That is when you're most victorious, because that is when you have tapped into your heart. Your heart is the connector to the creator of all things. Your heart is the home of your intuition. Your heart is the home of your higher being within yourself, your inner knower. That is when you have stepped into your greatest power, is when you have cried for mercy. That's when you can hear and listen and be. It's interesting how a childhood game can bring all of that awareness and attention to probably one of the most important and most valuable lessons that I have ever learned in my life. And that is, it's not, doing it alone is not the way to go. And doing it alone does not necessarily mean you have other human beings in partnership with you, which is great. We want that. We need that. We have partners in life. We have partners in the romance relationship, in our family relationships, in our friendships, and we need that support. But I believe the most important support, the most important partnership that you could ever have is with the one who created you. And when we have that relationship where we can go, I cry for mercy, I am so done, I cannot do this within me. It's not happening. What's wrong here? Where's the imbalance? Where is the disconnect? And when we cry for mercy and open up our palms and go belly up, that is when all of the answers, the resources are going to come into you. So this battle that we have between our ego mind and our heart is one that happens inside every human being. And what this could be about for you is just to notice when your ego mind is running the show a little too much, when it's dominating what's happening in your life. Because that right there is going to lead to exhaustion and energy depletion, dis-ease, illness. It will lead to dissatisfaction in your life. It will lead to arguments. It will lead to breakups. Stress. Stress is a home breaker relationship breaker, person breaker. Stress will break you down on all fronts. And the ego mind, when the ego mind is running the show, that's what's happening, is that stress chemistry is coming in. So when you begin to feel depleted of energy, sleep is a little rough, maybe not being able to go to sleep with ease, staying asleep with ease. If that's happening, if you find that you're relying on caffeinated beverages versus water to hydrate you, you know you're in trouble. When you begin to go towards foods that are high in sugar and processed, you know you're in trouble. Ego's running the show. Stress is the one that's running the show. When you forget things and are unaware of people's feelings, unaware of situations that are happening around you, that is when you know you're in trouble. And we know we're in trouble when all we got going on is some stinking thinking. I just covered all of the 7 areas that are in direct connection to our most vibrant health, the vibrant health of our physical form, leading into the soulful form. And in the last episode, I introduced those 7 areas that will lead us towards vitality. And when we're looking at those 7 areas in this place of crying for mercy, those 7 areas, when we're not doing them, when we're doing the stress substitution for each category instead, that is when we know that our ego mind's running the show, we are energy depleted, and we are heading down a pathway that is self-destructive. And that is the moment to cry for mercy. The moment to cry for mercy. When we make that cry, when you say, I'm done, mercy, when you say that, that is that critical turning point. The turning point that Brene Brown's quote spoke about, that right there is the shift. And that does not signify defeat. It signifies triumph. It signifies victory, because you have finally said, I am open. Where am I to go? Your heart, your intuition, your connection to God is all there, all open, and you are equipped to take that next step. So that surrender that you have in that moment of mercy, in that moment, that is what leads to rest, restoration, and the discovery of those answers and solutions you're looking for. But I really want to hone in on the rest and restoration. Y'all, right now, there is so much going on in the external world, so much. And when so much is going on in the external world, if we are not careful, our ego mind will get all involved in that, because the ego mind loves the drama. The ego mind loves the ups and downs of the external world and loves to get all up in that. So it has you riding that roller coaster too. That is that place where you are your most depleted of every vital force that you need in your body to live a healthy, vibrant life filled with vitality. And when that world is so loud, that is the moment where we know that we must go within for rest and restoration. We must have the quiet time. We must have the quiet moments where it's just you with your breath, with your creator, doing nothing. And I love the way Eckhart Tolle states it. He states that it's the pleasure of doing nothing. the pleasure of doing nothing. That is where you will find peace. That is where you will find healing. That is where you will find your answers and your solutions. This does open the doorway. That space, that moment that we were just speaking to, opens that doorway for guidance, guidance beyond the ego, guidance beyond what you think you know, guidance into answers that you never would have thought of on your own. So if we continue down the pathway of ignoring increased caffeine in our body, lack of awareness in what's happening in our life and with other people, if we are in that place of lack of sleep, if we're in that space of negativity, if we are in that space of not stillness, but lethargy and fatigue to where we sit on our bum and don't do anything, if we are in that space where we are eating foods that are not nourishing for our body, we're leaning towards high sugar and high processed foods. When we lean into any of that, that is the stop sign to say, oh, you've gone too far. You need to back up a little bit and go into some quiet time. Because that right there is the implication that you are indication that you are heading in a direction that will lead you down a pathway that will not benefit you health-wise, emotions, mentally, physically, none of it. So let go. Let go in that moment of the ego mind. In this moment, let go and commit to doing mindfulness and meditation each and every day. Stillness, be at ease, be at peace, be with your breath, and choose to listen, consciously choose to listen to the heart and the intuition way before reaching that breaking point. Although I do have to say, the miracles and the gifts that transpire when you cry mercy are pretty cool. They are pretty cool. They are, y'all, when we get to that point where we're done. And when I got to that point where I was done, I couldn't do it anymore. And when I cried for mercy, that was when I received the greatest gift I have ever received in my life. The oneness is amazing. But wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to do it that way? Wouldn't it be great if we got the hint when we've noticed all 7 areas of our life, the 7 components of health? If we've noticed that when all of those are kind of going downhill, that we can go, oh, wait a minute, this is going down the wrong pathway. That's your indicator light, y'all. That's letting you know you're taking a wrong turn. And that's when you go, oh, wait a minute. My ego mind's running the show. I got to get to my heart. And that is when you go into your mindfulness, meditation, stillness, whatever it is, and get centered and come home to the heart. Come home to the heart. So those 7 areas that I was speaking to around 7 components of health, that is, there's a teaching that I do, a course that I have. It's called the Ultimate Health Breakthrough System. I mentioned it in the last episode. Ultimate Health Breakthrough System is available on my website, ashleytorian.com. So you can simply go there and look under programs, and Ultimate Health Breakthrough System will be listed for you. And you can check that out and see if it is something that you are needing right now. Because y'all, they are really good indicators that we're heading down a wrong pathway. And when they've gone in the opposite direction than what they are to go in, that's when the suffering happens. But it's also when the cry for mercy can happen and you can come out victoriously. So it's never too late. It's never too late. That's what I have found. It's never too late. I can always turn things around. I can always turn things around. I have that faith that no matter what, I can always turn it around. Do you have that? Do you have that faith within you that when you cry mercy, you will be equipped and resourced to turn it around and you will be okay? That is a gift. The truest, most specialist gift ever. So I wanted to share a remarkable story with you about finding victory in the vulnerability and surrender. This is a story, a real life story, a today story. Pardon me. Malala Yousafzai. She is a young Pakistani activist for female education. She was faced with extreme adversity when she was shot in the head by the Taliban, left side of the forehead, I believe it was, the Taliban, for her advocacy. Instead of succumbing to the fear and silence, Malala embraced her vulnerability as a platform for global change. Her recovery and decision to continue her fight for education rights, despite the risks, exemplified the profound strength in surrendering to a cause greater than oneself. Malala's journey from a near-death experience to becoming the youngest Nobel Prize laureate is a testament to the power of vulnerability in achieving victory. Her courage to be vulnerable, to share her story, and to fight for the rights of others has inspired millions worldwide, proving that surrendering to one's principles and speaking out, even in the face of anger, as in the face of danger, can lead to monumental change and victory. It's a beautiful story. If you have not heard her story, I highly recommend that you just go to YouTube and search her name, and you will find her giving speeches. And she is beautifully gifted in the ability to speak what needs to be spoken. It's beautiful. True vulnerability, and yet true strength. Victorious. She arose victoriously. So I want you to remember that crying for mercy is not a sign of defeat. Crying for mercy is a sign of victory. It's courage. It's that courageous step that we take towards victory. I would love to invite you to share in the comments section of this show, if you're watching the replay. Share with me your cry for mercy moments and how it led to unexpected victory in your life. That would be so fun to read that. And I want to encourage you to engage in any of the podcast comment sections of my show. I would love to hear from you and to be able to be in relation with you. That would be awesome. Please subscribe to the show. And you can also just go to winwinwomen.tv and look my show up there every Monday at 3 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. And I will be right there ready to go live with you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Join me next week as we continue to armor up our lives. See you then.